Shalom. My name is Yair Davidiy. I'm speaking to you from Jerusalem, the capital of Israel, the most important country in the world, the most important city in the world, and I am speaking to you about a subject that I consider to be the most important subject in the world, or at least up there. At least that should have a much higher priority than it does. I'm speaking concerning lost 10 tribes of Israel. Lost 10 tribes of Israel were the majority section of the Israelite nation, and they were taken into exile by the Assyrians, and they lost consciousness of their ancestry. But we trace them to Western peoples. They are amongst Western nations. The people now living in the West are descended from the lost tribes of Israel. Not everyone, not talking about everyone there. We're talking about a significant percentage, a significant and historically influential section of the peoples in that region, and at all events that is where the lost 10 tribes are. That is where they are to be searched for, that is where they are to be found. The lost 10 tribes of Israel, even though they descend from Israelites, they are not at present obligated to keep the law of Moses. They're not obligated to keep the so-called, what they term the Old Testament, the Torah. But eventually they will have to do so. They will have to return to that. They will return to that, and at present they are not. Even if they could be certain, absolutely certain that they are descended from Israel, they would not be so obligated. And there's a problem at present, but even though we can say that in general, people from lost 10 tribes are in certain regions, we cannot say 100% that specific individuals pertain to Israelites. Nevertheless, it's the message that the 10 tribes are in those regions, that people who feel a pull in this direction are probably descended from Israel. Is there a message that must go out, that needs to go out, that needs to be told? And that's what we are doing. We're doing the telling of the truth. The lost 10 tribes were, according to the rabbis, were to be considered non-Israelites. They were considered Gentiles for all degrees and purposes, and there were religious reasons for this. It was actually to the advantage of the 10 tribes at that time that they should be so considered, and that this decree had actually been preceded by biblical passages. The Bible itself had spoken of it. And we find, for instance, the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah describes the 10 tribes of Israel as having been idolatrous, of having worshipped false gods. It says that we see Jeremiah 3:6. The Lord also said unto him, in the days of Josiah king, has you not seen that which backsliding Israel has done? She has gone up upon every high mountain and under every green tree, and has played the harlot, a whore. That is, she has gone after other gods. If you belong to the God of Israel and you go looking for other gods, idolatry and so on, it's as if you have committed adultery. Idolatry and adultery are one and the same thing. They're different aspects of the same sin, of the same impairment of character, of the same falling down in morality. And this is what the 10 tribes had done. This is why they were exiled. See 2 Kings chapter 17, 18, where it describes in detail the sins that the 10 tribes had done, and for this reason they were exiled. And so too, we are told in Jeremiah 3:8, for all the adulteries of that faithless one Israel, I had sent her away with a decree of divorce. She had been divorced, cut off. She had been no longer considered part of the chosen people as far as their religious obligations were concerned. Yet her full sister Judah did not fear, but she too went and played the harlot. So Judah also went along the same track, but nevertheless Judah remained identifiable, remained part of the 10 tribes, and remained under the obligation of the law with all its rewards and punishment. And the Lord God Almighty has reasons for this. Divine providence wanted it this way. But nevertheless, this is an important principle. As Jeremiah said, I sent away with a decree of divorce. God had divorced the 10 tribes. They were cut off, and so too we find in Hosea chapter 1:9, said God, call his name Lo-Ami, for you are not my people and not be your God. Hosea had been told to take a loose woman, a woman of a poor morality, and to have children from her, and from these children they all have names, and they are shown to represent the 10 tribes. The 10 tribes, that is not Judah. The 10 tribes, they are shown to represent the 10 tribes in their state of exile, in their places of exile, and what their status and destiny would be. And one of these similes is reflected in the names given to them, and to the name of one of them was given the name Lo Ami. You are not my people, for you no longer be my people. Later on it says that they shall be your people. There will be a reconciliation. It says, see Hosea 1:10, the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. There shall come to pass in the place where it says unto them, you are not my people. There shall be said unto them, you are the sons of the living God. They shall return, and they shall be reunified and re-recognized once again as Israelites. This is what will happen in the future. For the moment, they are not so, but nevertheless they had a destiny, they have a task to fulfill, as they are. We have spoken of this, and this task involved becoming the battle axe of the Almighty, the policeman of the globe, as Jeremiah mentions, and fulfilling certain tasks that on the whole they have done. And in the future they will return. They will once again acknowledge the laws of Moses and reunite with Judah. At the moment they are not so obligated, but they are called upon to begin this process, to once again become aware of the Israelite origins, of where they came from, and to begin to study and to think and to work in that direction. They need to draw closer to Judah to help the state of Israel, and also to internalize biblical principles and to heighten their biblical consciousness. When we all merit to be better people and do what we have to do in this life, because none of us have got that much time if we think about it. And life is good, life can be good, and if we try a little, and all of us have some type of calling that we must find and fulfill, and we must call out to God Almighty to guide us and protect us, and what applies to the individual also applies to the whole nation, the whole national group as one whole. We should identify with the peoples we belong to and also recognize our Israelite ancestry. May the God of Israel bless all of you. Thank you.